season 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Let me tell you, the human characters, aside from some, in this show were so annoying, but it helped that not all of them were these impalatable beings. And Patrick whoever you know what I mean, the alternate guy who plays Lee Shaw, he really did bring a certain caliber and quality. You could just tell the difference between his acting and that of the younger ones. But this is what I'm gonna say. The last 2 episodes actually really helped the show. And I'll say this as well. The characters who were supposed to be the ones taking over the legacy of Monarch, the young people, they really didn't need to be a significant part of this. I get part of their whole adventure and uncovering everything was to find out what happened to their father, but they could have easily followed Hiroshi and made the story center around him. Because I can say, in all seriousness, 80 to 90% of the show was drama or filler fluff. Oh my god, my father left us. I'm so angry. I'm angry too. Why'd you do this? Relationships. If they had just followed Bill Randa and Keiko and the old people's point of view, this would have been a solid show, and I would have watched it as is. It was needlessly long, and you had situations like this with this woman who does become a little more palatable later because she talks less, and I guess she likes the other female character because there seems to be some kind of relationship brewing between the two. But they start off with this girl and Ken having liked each other. They show backstory and flashback after flashback, only for the later episodes for them to have absolutely no chemistry together. Where did that all go? I get it, they're in the midst of a problem, but they have so much time for drama and unnecessary angst, especially when it comes to Kate, the other girl, and this girl, and how Kate and this girl are with each other. So for these two to just go dead, she was clearly still in like with this guy, and he was the one who pursued her through the backstory. Then what was the point of showing us their whole backstory and them falling in love with each other? What is the point? Where was that supposed to go? It was completely unnecessary. It felt like they were teasing something like, oh, they're gonna get back together. See, this is how they met and they were in love with each other. He thinks about her, she thinks about him, but on screen, you could never tell that these two dated. So stuff like that is annoying. I feel like this could have been its own thing. Also, episode 4, by the way, one of the best episodes of the show, I think it is the best episode, could have been its own movie set in the Monsterverse universe. You could have a movie with these Monsterverse creatures and them all connect to each other through a universe. That was so well done. But if they had just set everything from the past and then followed Shaw and Hiroshi's journey, maybe Shaw comes back and he's trying to find Hiroshi, that would have been good enough. The whole situation also with the drama, this is what I'm also talking about with the stupid human drama that's contrived, because this is Kate's mom, and then she mentions when Kate comes back and introduces her brother that was a result of her husband being unfaithful. This woman looks totally broken, and then she says some cope ass weirdness.
I could have gone to Tokyo, but I didn't want to know the truth. I liked having a part-time husband, but that meant that you had a part-time father.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about. She's broken and hurt, but you like having a part-time husband. Honey, make that make sense. This is the kind of stuff that I'm like, okay, what kind of dialogue is this? You have characters acting one way, but saying something completely different. They showcase Kate with her girlfriend, and clearly this girl liked her, even though Kate was a cheating, lying son of a bitch, and then she has the nerve to be angry at her father for doing exactly the same thing. But to her credit, she does call out her own hypocrisy later on in the show. She was supposed to live with this girl, but she's cheating on the girl. You see her sleeping with someone else, and it's like, okay, this made me dislike the character even more than I already did, because you see, she's a piece of shit. But you know what? I will revisit something I said earlier on with my first 2 reviews. I respect them making the character like this in the hopes that if they continue the show, they're gonna give her some growth. And I was wrong, because I was definitely so sure that they were gonna make Shaw a bad guy, but he turns out being a hero. And that was freaking refreshing to see. And it was also very believable. Even though he's old, you're never left thinking, wow, he's an old man, he can't do that. He does show his age, and they do explain why he looks the way he does, because there's time distortion in the Hollow Earth. So while the main characters are down here for only what seems like a couple of hours or a few hours, 2 years have passed up on the surface. That is something that I didn't consider or knew was a part of the Monsterverse. As for the kaiju, we do see Godzilla and the fights. It's amazing amazing whenever we do see Godzilla on screen. And when they do show the kaiju fighting, you actually just see them fighting. I do like the kaiju that they showcase. My favorite being the Frostbark monster hunter looking thing. This was one of the more interesting creatures that I've seen in this, and I believe it's a new monster. Like I said, episode 4 could have been its own movie. And I like how it preys on heat. Imagine you're in an icy terrain trying to survive. You get stranded there through a plane crash or such. And this really large creature is hunting you, detects you from underground, and it tracks heat. And if you try to start a fire, it will find you and eat the fire or anything that's remotely warm. So not only do you have to hide from it because of your own warmth, but you can't even keep yourself warm because this thing feeds on heat, radiation. It's a very interesting concept, and I do like that they did that with this, but this could have been its own movie. The show ended up making up for everything in the end, but there was so much in it that did not need to be there. If they had redone the show, like I said earlier, and just followed it from Shaw and Hiroshi and Keiko's point of view, it would have been fine. They didn't need the angsty adults posing as teenagers in this show. For me, it detracted from a lot of the seriousness and the actual quality of the show. That's just my opinion. Then in the end, when they come back, this scene was very poignant. See, if we were following Hiroshi and Shaw and Keiko, this would have matched up perfectly fine without Kate and her friends being the center of it all.
Oh.
This was very beautifully shot. I love her as an actor. She was annoying at some points, but I do love her as an actor. She's a very, very strong actor. She conveys emotion very well. Hiroshi being all stoic, and then when he sees his mother, who he thought was dead for most of his life, and then he reverts to a child again, and she's not seen him. It's only been 57 days for her down in the Hollow Earth, and she comes back and her little child is now a grown 40, 50-year-old man, and she's saying gomenasai, and she's apologizing to him, and you just see him revert to a little baby all over again. It was so, so beautiful. His motivations for why he wasn't around, because he was stricken by grief. Like, this was just so well done. I did love this. I was crying right alongside them. Then at the end of the show, we find out that Apex is the one that helped to bring these guys back somehow. Again, I mean, aside from them being revealed as the grandkids, don't know why they had to be the center of the show. May became totally useless. I don't even know why she was a part of this. They came to her as somebody who, oh, she knows computers and stuff, but then she just feels like a third wheel or fourth wheel the entire time of this show, of the runtime, past the relationship she had with him. That was totally useless. And unless they're setting up something between these two, why is May here? She doesn't need to be here. None of them need to be here, but May is the most useless character out of all of them. They just took this woman who had a skill and just underutilized her the entire time, which is a huge disservice to the actress. And she became annoying, and it's like, okay, now you're just tagging along for no reason. So since 2 years have passed since they've been down in the Hollow Earth, Brenda, who used to hire May, I guess, again, didn't need to have that connection for this to happen, but the friendly Monarch guy is working with Apex because he quit Monarch because they didn't want to help. And we see the revelation that this is a Skull Island research station funded by Apex. And this is probably going to be reflected in the coming movies because they have Monarch Station that we saw in Godzilla vs. Kong at the end of the movie. Then they have an Apex Station there now as well. And those two are now going to be opponents. Now, aside from understanding a little bit more how time dilation works in the Hollow Earth, seeing some new creatures, I can't really sell anyone on hardcore reasons to watch this show unless you want to see kaiju or Godzilla sprinkled out very sparingly throughout a 10-episode, almost 1 hour apiece runtime for each episode show. The show was very disjointed at times, and even though it did come together, like I said, there was a lot that could have been left out. We get a little bit more backstories to brand new characters that we didn't care about or didn't know, rather than the ones that are already part of the movie universe. So unless they're introducing these guys to the universe, now we're going to have the movie universe humans and then a different sect of humans in the show experiencing something totally different. And it just, I don't really understand what the point of that was, personally. But aside from the wasted time and fillers and unnecessary, stupid, annoying drama that wasted so much time and potential for this show, it came together nicely, and I don't think it was a total waste of time. Could have been better, but it's decent for what it is. That's my honest review. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.